Hey, how's everybody doing? Excuse me. I thought I'd do some unedited videos here in my room of clutter, but this will be a fast one. There's a new GQ interview out with Paul McCartney right now that I read yesterday. And out of everything that is mentioned in the GQ interview, an old story about the wank sessions that Paul, John, and their friends had, like twice, according to Paul. The big news, especially if you saw the New York Post today about, you know, he was at John's house with John's friends. They turned out the lights, and one of their friends started to wank away. So they decided, hey, let's all wank, and they all shouted out names to inspire people, like Bridget Bardot. And then John, in typical John fashion, would shout Winston Churchill, which got everybody out of the mood. That's an old story. It's in Paul's book many years from now. It's in Pete Shotton's book. This is old news, but this is just, my gosh, it's just so typical of our clickbait society nowadays that this is the big news. Oh my gosh. And the jokes that they're making about this, like the real meaning of come together and all this other stuff. I mean, it's a funny story. I mean, that's how I took it. It's a funny story, especially John shouting Winston Churchill when everybody's in the mood thinking of Marilyn Monroe and Bridget Bardot and Jane Mansfield and whoever the hell else. I mean, I laughed when I heard that story, but now it's like big controversy. Paul, too much information. Oh my gosh, it's no big deal. I mean, if you're a Beatlemaniac, you know this story. What the heck is the big deal? I mean, this reminds me of a couple of years ago in 2016. I saw it. I think it was the Daily Mirror in England. And people were posting it on various Beatles groups on Facebook. Shocking footage of John Lennon making fun of disabled people. Shocking, never before seen footage. And it was footage from the anthology, the old clap your hands thing that John used to do. I mean, in our less politically correct times back then, that was pretty funny. And I know for a fact Beatlemaniacs would laugh at that because they would show that stuff at Beatlefest, or the Fest for Beatle fans, when it was called Beatlefest at the time, and they would have the video rooms. Everybody had laughed at it, and nobody took it serious. But at that point, it was like, oh my gosh, this is not new. This is nothing new. Why is this now controversial after all this time? So Paul talked about it in an interview, and I got to say that Paul is really doing a media blitz here, and he is being a lot more open than he used to. If anybody had listened to the Mark Maron WTF podcast, he's explaining about the times he got high at one point and talking about during the making of Band on the Run, the type of pot that Fela Kuti had. After the controversy subsided and he and Fela Kuti became friends and they hung out one night and somebody brought this really strong pot and Paul vowed not to speak, or smoke, excuse me, and he eventually did smoke. But the interesting thing about the GQ interview that I got, you remember a couple of months ago, Quincy Jones created this controversy because of an interview he did, I think, with GQ as well, where what did you think of the Beatles at first? I thought they were a bunch of no-playing motherfuckers, and talked about how bad Paul's bass playing was and how bad Ringo's drumming was, and everybody felt the need to do YouTube videos about this and address this controversy. I laughed when I heard it, and I didn't want to address it at that time. And all I did was take it from the point of view of Quincy Jones being a jazz musician. Let's face it, a lot of jazz musicians didn't like the Beatles. Check out Buddy Rich's comments on Ringo's drumming, you know, right there. But what they brought it up to Paul, and Paul said, and Paul said when he read it, he laughed. And later on that day, he got a phone call from Quincy Jones, and Paul immediately because he said he and Quincy Jones are friends. He and Quincy Jones are friends. They know each other. They hung out with each other. And let's face it, Quincy Jones did the liner notes for Photograph, The Very Best of Ringo. And Paul immediately answered when Quincy came on the line. Paul said, "Hey, what's up, motherfucker?" Because of what Quincy Jones did. But Quincy told Paul, I don't know where they got this information from in the interview, but I never said that. I did not say that. And Paul said, "Well, even if you did, Q, I'd still tell you to fuck. I'd tell you to fuck off anyways." So they joked about it. But I found that interesting. Quincy saying that he didn't say it or didn't say it like that in the interview. We got to be careful. We live in such a clickbait society, even here on YouTube nowadays. I don't put clickbait titles in my videos. What you see is what you get. I mean, I could have easily titled this video John and Paul masturbate together. There you go. I could have titled like that or put down Paul says Quincy Jones was wrong. Easily done something like that and get all these thousands of views and everything else and spread and go viral. I'm not interested in that. I'm totally not interested in that. I have, it'd be nice to get 1,000 followers, but I got a dedicated few here who respect me and I respect them. So I'm not gonna dumb things down and to get a bunch of views here on YouTube. So I say be careful in this clickbait society, and I'm always tempted too. I'm honest. I'm tempted, and friends of mine keep telling me, "Brian, don't step in the bullshit." And sometimes I do, and I get dragged in. So take the Paul McCartney thing for what it is, as something hilarious, something funny, and not something controversial as they're trying to make it out to be. But I will say it's drawing attention to the album, which I still haven't changed my mind on, despite certain YouTube reviews here. I haven't changed my mind on that. So that's the end of this rant, and I'll talk to you later. And I'll be getting some unedited things up over the week here, and I'll probably do another edited video over the weekend. And until we meet again, peace and much love. Have a great day. Have a great day. Camera's right there.